What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen, and this is Colts Law. We are going to be talking about the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Houston and fighting the Texans in NRG Stadium this week. It's going to be fun. And I know, you look at the title, you look at the freaking thumbnail, and you go, what do you mean statement game? What do you mean by that? Well, I mean that I feel like earlier this week, until I got the knowledge of the injury report. Yes, I can't say that injury. Till I got that, I wasn't 100% sure. I had to go by what the depth chart looked like outside of injuries. There's a good chance Andrew Ogletree could play in this game. There's a good chance Zach Moss can play in this game. There's a good chance that the offensive line will still be intact, which I said that probably would be anyhow earlier in our streams earlier. But I'm going to get into why I think this could be a massive statement game in just a second. I want to thank everybody. What up, Carnage? What up, Gardaki? Appreciate you guys being in here on YouTube. Those of you on Twitter, what's up? Hit reactions, hit the like button on YouTube. Come check it out. Obviously, helps out a lot, just in general. But let's get into the actual fact of the matter. You know how good our defense played against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Houston Texans are not the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. All right. Let alone the fact they could be without 4/5 of their starting offensive line. Right? It's time for this team defensively to really make a serious statement. I mean, a statement. I'm talking 5-6 sacks. I'm talking 2-3 turnovers. I'm talking a game, right, defensively for this. I'm talking about a game where if you have the Indianapolis Colts defense in fantasy, you take them, right? Because they are going to put up all kind of numbers against this offense of the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud's dealing with a shoulder injury. He'll still play. I almost guarantee it didn't show up until until today's practice. So he's probably going to play. All right. They got him listed as questionable. He's playing. Come on. All right. Anthony Richardson walked out of last Sunday's game against the Jaguars with a bruised knee and a sore ankle, but he wasn't listed on the injury report. We never saw Anthony Richardson dealing with an injury, right? It's just bumps and bruises. But our defense looks really, really good. I think I've said it before. We have a top 5 defensive front 7. I felt that way for a while. I felt that way before the offseason even started. The secondary was our worry, right? Secondary played pretty darn good football against Jacksonville, and that's a pretty darn good receiving crew if you're including the tight end. Texans don't have nowhere near the receiving crew that the Jaguars have, without any question, let alone the fact that, their offensive line is banged up 5 ways from Sunday. All right. Great news on the injury front for the Indianapolis Colts. My goodness, we could have the Kylan Granson, Drew Ogletree show again. Now, hopefully, he passes his concussion protocol tomorrow and is cleared to play. If he doesn't, well, it is what it is. He needs to be fully healthy before he can play. I don't want him out there still dealing with symptoms of a concussion out on the field. That's just not something anybody wants, because we've seen as Colts fans that, players, after they have a concussion, it's easier to get concussions more often. We've lost a lot of players, especially offensively, guys who go over the middle, like slot receivers and tight ends, due to concussions piling up on them. So I want him to clear concussion protocol on his own accord and actually be healthy. But if he does, holy crap. All right. Now, they've got some fast linebackers, though. I will give them that. I mean, they've got like Perryman and them out back there who actually can cover general tight ends, but they're not going to be covering deep like the way Anthony Richardson likes to throw to tight ends, right? He loves that. He loves tight ends running, seam routes. He loves his tight ends running corner routes, out routes, those 15 to 25 yard range routes that are out of range of linebacker coverage when you're playing zone. All right. And to me, that's going to spell that our tight ends could have a monster day. I don't know how big of a day that Michael Pittman Jr. would have because they do have Derek Stingley at corner. He's pretty solid as a cornerback. This is a game, again, where I feel like our tight ends have to step up, have a big day. Guys like Downs, guys like Pierce. I'd love to see Richardson get to his third progression. When I go to the film, I think he did a good job week 1 going first progression, second projection, go, right? That's what I think he did a very good job. I think he needs to be stepped up in that less now. Now I think he needs to get to his third progression. And if he could get to his third progressions, then I feel like you're going to have a lot more opportunities to see throws to guys like Downs, to guys like Pierce, as opposed to week 1. All right. Most of his progressions was wide receiver, tight end. It was normally Michael Pittman Jr. was your first option, and then tight end was your second option, right? Most of them, not all, obviously. A lot of switching up on, who's your hot read, who's not your hot read, depending on the plays that Steichen was putting out there. And you're going to have that again this Sunday against the Texans, where your hot reads are going to be a little bit different, right? Depending on the plays, depending upon the defenses that are called against them, things of that nature. But I still feel like the further through the progressions you could get, the better, because there were multiple, many times where he got rid of the football really, really quick, yet the protection was there. He could have, went through. He'd get through his first progression, second projection, he'd throw it, or first projection, second projection, and he'd run it. And that's something that I thought was weird. He would still have protection. The offensive line would still have that nice pocket for him, and he would take off, right? And I got a feeling that was told for him to do that. Because normally, from what I was seeing, he'll sit in that pocket under normal circumstances until he is pressured, until he actually feels the pressure. We saw him take off a little earlier than normal in last week. So if the protection holds up against this defensive front, which, again, is a good defensive front. They got some nice, quick linebackers as well. Good corner, decent safety. This is a situation, though, where there are other corners, the drop-off from Stingley to the next guys due to their injuries, it's a huge drop-off. You're going to see, the guy that's covering Michael Pittman Jr. the majority of the game will be very, very good. But guys covering Downs or Pierce, you got opportunity here if he could get through those progressions or flip his progressions, right? Flip those progressions. Have Pierce running, your dig routes and your short hooks and things of that nature, and have Michael Pittman Jr. running most of your flies. Why not? You know, utilize what the defense has to allow your players to take advantage of their situations. What's up, Rico? Appreciate you, man. Thanks so much. Good luck this in your upcoming game this week too for the Bills, Rico. Or not Rico, sorry. But hey, cheers, man. Appreciate you being on here. Rico Suave. All right, Carnage, Moss, Gardaki. Let's see what happens. Who's the guy that you think is going to have a blowout game? Is there a wide receiver you think will have 100 yards plus receiving? Not just wide receiver, any player. Any player. All right. Who is it? I'm saying Kylan Granson is going to have 100 yards receiving this game. He's probably going to have 6, 7 targets. All right. But I got a feeling that, you know, I think Pierce could have a big game because the guy covering him is not going to be nearly as good in this game. Now, obviously, I think that, you know, even though we're going up against a very defensive-minded head coach with the Texans, I don't see how he's going to play a lot of man, right? I don't see him playing man. I see him playing a lot of zone shell coverages against this team. You don't play a lot of man coverage against quarterbacks that can scramble the way Anthony Richardson can scramble. You just don't. If you do, you're putting yourself in a really bad situation. All right. Really, really, really bad situation. So a lot of shell coverages. Zach Moss is back. Zach Moss is going to run. Zach Moss has the experience, the veteran experience to be able to allow holes to develop in front of him and then hit where he wants to go with authority and power. All right. That's what we was missing against the Jaguars. He doesn't have the top end speed or the elusiveness that Jonathan Taylor has, but he has the veteran knowledge to allow that patience, to allow his blocks to fully develop and then hit the hole. That's going to pay dividends against this Texans defense. I don't think we run for 2.1 yards carry with Zach Moss at running back. I think we'll be closer to 4. All right. Now, we're not going to see 5, 6 yards of carry like we generally do with Jonathan Taylor because, let's face it, Zach Moss doesn't have the home run hitting ability that Jonathan Taylor has. But he's definitely the second best running back on this roster and is a guy who was a lead back in the NFL just 3 years ago. All right. So that's a big opportunity for the Colts. Now, the Colts offensive line, they have to be very sturdy. A lot of people was talking about how, you know, the offensive line just wasn't that good. Pass protection, they were pretty good. Run blocking, they were average. I think that the run blocking for the offensive line was average, you know, around a C minus. You also got to remember the type of defense that the Jaguars was playing a lot. PFF graded the Colts offensive line very, very high across the board in the 70s, pretty much, outside of Will Fries, which I thought Will Fries had a better game than Ryan Kelly had. But what can I say? Will did have some issues at certain points, especially against the big, strong defensive tackles. Same thing he had last year. He wasn't beat as bad. There weren't times where the thing about Fries is on those hard-nosed bull rushes. Last year, when they happened to him, he lost the matchup completely and lost hands on his guy or would fall over. Last week, Fries didn't have that issue. He always kept hands. He didn't give up his low base, which allowed him to stay on his block longer, all right, than what he did last year. He looks better than last year. He's still not top dog yet, but he needs more experience. All right, he does. He definitely needs more experience. So I'm going to keep giving him a little bit of more opportunities. But yeah, this is a situation where I really do feel like if there's a chance, the Colts could make this a blowout game. Now, I don't know. Did y'all watch yesterday's game, the Thursday night football game? All right. Between week 1, when the Eagles played the Patriots and had a very poor performance, and then yesterday against the Vikings, some questionable performances there by the Eagles as well, right? Offensively. Makes you wonder, was that really our head coach, Shane Steichen, that made last year's Eagles team that dynamic? I'd like to think it is. And if it is, dude, some of the play calls I saw in the first half for the Colts was absolutely fantastic, wild. Had the defense guessing, had me guessing, right? When's the last time you saw the Colts play a lot of pistol formation where the quarterback is in shotgun, but the running back is behind him? That's weird. That's weird. I'm not used to seeing that for the Colts. All right. I want to see more in that. Not just pistol, but like 12 and 13 personnel pistol, where you got, and I said this all offseason, the Colts will run a lot of 12 and 13 personnel, 1 running back, 2 or 3 tight ends. Okay. Because we have the tight ends to do that, to create mismatches. Let's continue doing that. All right. Especially if Drew Ogletree is healthy and is able to play, and then you're going to see a lot of Moe and Granson and Ogletree again in this game. I thought Moe played a pretty solid game. There was a couple opportunities he had. There was just small little missteps here and there offensively that you fix them. If that, one player was able to get a one step further or realize that, this was going on and was able to do something, then I think the Colts probably have a good shot at beating the Jaguars. Right? Deion Jackson doesn't have both his fumbles. Colts win. Anthony Richardson doesn't throw that interception in the fourth quarter. Colts win. Right? That's how it is. Brock Badger, appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming in. Carnage with a $2 super chat says, this is why Steichen was my number 1 pick when Reich left. It's kind of weird, though. It's like the Colts and the Eagles are just trading off coaches, right? For like the last, 6 years? But hey, whatever. Can't wait to see how this year turns out. I think I would take Anthony Richardson over Jalen Hurts long term. Okay, long term. Now this year, I would say, obviously I would rather have Jalen Hurts just because he's got, a few years under his belt, understands the system that he's in and the guys around him, things of that nature. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be so much better than Jalen Hurts by year 3. Okay. Hell, maybe by year 2. I think year 2, a lot of people are like, oh, well, Anthony Richardson, if he's going to break out, it ain't going to be till like year 3. Hell, Anthony Richardson, you might see breakout games from him by week 10 of this season, right? You might see breakout games from Anthony once he gets fully integrated with this offense. knows the timing with his targets, understands the blocking and all that from his offensive line, has a full mental breakdown of the entire playbook, and has played those plays over and over to try to get the familiarity with. Anthony Richardson could have 300 plus, 400 plus yard games, combined rushing and passing, right? With like 3, 4, 5 touchdowns. He legitimately could. But he needs the familiarity. He needs this time. We saw week 1. There were times he was good. Never had the opportunity really to throw downfield, which shocked so many people. He's going to have opportunities to throw downfield against the Texans. I'll guarantee it. I'll guarantee it. Look, the head coach for the Texans is too aggressive not to take shots at Anthony Richardson. I mean, that's how you beat rookie quarterbacks. That's tried and tested resolve by coaches throughout NFL history is you pressure rookie quarterbacks. You blitz them. And when you have a defensive-minded head coach, you expect to see a lot of blitzes. Anthony Richardson is going to get blitzed a lot in NRG. And you're going to see he reacts to blitzes fine. I feel like he does better under pressure than when he's not under pressure at times. The only issue is he's sometimes a hair late with his delivery. You know, when he sees the pressure initially coming, that's when he needs to find and get rid of the football. Find his target, get rid of the football immediately, as quickly as possible, right? When the pressure is, as soon as he sees the pressure coming. He was a hair late a few times last week. He'll get better at that. He'll get better at that. I absolutely agree with this right here by Speed. What's up, Mick the dog? Appreciate you. Speed says AR and 14. That's Alec Pierce. Going to have a hookup deep before not too long. I think it's going to happen this Sunday. And you're right. His late passes will, I don't know, completely go away. A lot of quarterbacks still like to hold on to the football a little bit longer. But I'm noticing Anthony Richardson has no issues getting rid of the football when it's time to get rid of the football. Right? He's just, I think the delay is him catching up to NFL speed. Right? That's all it is. That's all it is. He reads and recognizes quick enough. He just needs to put everything together, recognizing the blitz and it's coming, and then find his target. That's what we'll need to speed up. I don't know if we should trade Mo Alley-Cox. First off, I don't think we'll get much out of Mo Alley-Cox right now. But I know a lot of people, including Paul here, believes this. I want to see what he's like with Richardson, right? He had some pretty good blocks. The tight ends, all the tight ends performed very well week 1. You can't put that pass that went over his head, right, on Cox. Cox skied for that ball. Can't put that ball on Richardson. Richardson put it in a place where only Mo Alley-Cox would have any kind of shot for it. Right? It was just there wasn't a play there, and it was basically a throwaway. It was basically a throwaway with a chance to be a spectacular play. Right? But I understand. Look, after this year, if Mo is not performing up to the expectations of his contract, we are deep at tight end. We are deep at tight end. That's when we can go ahead and part ways with Mo, right? That's when we can part ways with Mo. But guys, if you hit that like button yet, I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate it a ton. This is a situation. This is a situation where I could see this as a close game. I could see this as a close game. But the more it plays out in my head with knowing who may or may not be on the field, I see this as a Colts 10 plus point win. All right. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I play it out, the more and more I see this as a bit of a blowout. I'm not saying it's going to be like, Cowboys Giants blowout, you know. Obviously not that. But the receivers are doing well. They're getting open like nobody's business. That's not a problem either. It's just Richardson last week was on a time clock. I think that was put on him by the coaches, right? You got to get rid of the ball quick. Hurry up, get through your first, second read, get rid of the football or run, which limited how often he's only pretty much looking at one side of the field. He's not looking at the other side of the field. I'm hoping that they allow him to at least put together some plays where multiple looks happen, right? And I get why they're doing that. They're protecting him. They're trying to develop him, right? And that's a long-term process. Throughout the season, they're trying to develop him. Shane Steichen did the same thing with Jalen Hurts, and it worked. So this is a process. It's going to take a little bit of a process, a little bit of time for it to happen. But it will. Devontae Smith didn't become a superstar with Jalen Hurts overnight, right? It took a little bit of process. I feel like Alec Pierce and Anthony Richardson are kind of in that same trajectory. Now, Brock Badger's talking about Jake Funk after what happened with Deion Jackson, 2 fumbles. I felt like Deion Jackson was our best option going in to week 1. Like our best option. You can't have 2 fumbles. All right. You can't have 2 fumbles, can't have 2 turnovers. That's going to cost a game. 1 player cost you a game, 2 turnovers by 1 player. I mean, and he's not even the quarterback. That's a big, huge red flag for me. Huge red flag. I liked what I saw from Jake. I like what I saw from Jake in preseason and training camp. I was saying that, right? But I still think that Zach Moss will be your running back 1 this Sunday. And I think that we'll have a better run game than what we did against Jacksonville. We will. Just get at least 3 yards of carry on average, not 2. Not 2 like last week. Get at least 3. Get at least 3, and then we're cooking. You get 4 plus, and then we are on fire. That's when this offense can really take off and become something. But again, I know I had the offense as a thumbnail to the title of this video, but I'm saying that it's the Colts defense. It's the Colts defense that's going to show out, right? This is a situation. I fully expect 4 to 6 sacks, couple turnovers by this defense against the Houston Texans. All right. Because I think our defense is overall better than Baltimore's. I really do believe that. Overall, I think our defense, especially our front 7, is better than Baltimore's. Amen, Mick. That's why Nick Chubb and his 5.5 yards so valuable to the Cleveland Browns. It's why Jonathan Taylor is so valuable. You know, he gets 5.55. You know, and plus every touch he gets, there's a chance he takes it to the house because of how fast he is. I want Jonathan Taylor to play. I think he will, but it won't be until week 5. This whole offseason debacle with Jonathan Taylor was just it was awful. It set the team back 4 weeks. 4 weeks. All because of the running back situation, right, across the league. And because of the running back situation across the league, Jonathan Taylor started talking and listening to other running backs in Zoom calls, changed out his agent, and now, you know, we went through that whole stupid offseason debacle, and which ended up landing him on PUP. But I got a feeling week 5 on, I think the Colts will be cooking. Let's find out. Guys, I appreciate y'all. This was fun. Got about 32 minutes in. Just sit here, talk some stuff. Obviously, I will have my live game reaction to the game Sunday. I will have my film rooms that I will be dropping. I will drop 2 film rooms. Now, and that'll be on YouTube. This past game, I dropped 2 film rooms, but one of them went Patreon only, and it was the wide receiver film room. If you want to see that film room, because I'm dropping 2 film rooms a month on my Patreon that only Patreon subscribers can watch. Plus, of course, my Patreon only live streams every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You want to get in on that action? Join Patreon. It's only $5 a month, and you get all access to everything. Link is in the description. Don't forget, smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we go live or upload a video. Mick, good luck this week with the Browns as well. Good luck to everybody else. Have a beautiful, wonderful weekend. And I think I'm going to go out and go for a walk because it is an absolutely beautiful evening today here in Indiana. And as usual, I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law. And as usual, have a good one.